Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Sunday show. My name's Gail Moffat and I'm very pleased to be talking with you again this week. Now, what my show is about a year ago I received communication from very high profile personalities in the spirit world. And this summer they have been asking me to air my voice to all of you. And so I dutifully am doing that for you because I want to share with you what I've experienced and how amazing some of the words that they have spoken and how beautiful that they are. And if you can have sort of half the understanding that I have with regards to the spirit world and what they are saying to us, it would just be a phenomenal experience for all of us. So this is the time when I am looking for who wants to step forward and share with me their words. And I know that as I'm waiting for somebody to come forward, I know that one of the things that they are very keen to do is talk about their lives and what they experience. And I know as time goes on, they've spoken to me that they will start to be more philosophical in their words and bring through more wisdom in that regard. And so as I'm sort of sat here, I'm being made aware of St. John the Baptist, and I know that he wants to bring forward his father from the spirit world, and he's stepping forward. And he's saying to me, I believe his name is Zachariah, he's saying to me that, he says, yes, my name is Zachariah, and I wish to speak to you with regards to my experiences and what I had to deal with when I was alive on the earth plane. My wife Elizabeth and myself had a great deal of stress, and it was a stress that caused us discomfort in our minds, for we were unable to have children, and it took many, many years before we were told by God that we indeed would be able to have children, a child. And this is something that was so special to us that I'm sure that you will agree is something that all of us should be able to achieve should we wish. After God had informed us that we were about to have a child, I knew that this child was going to be quite special and important to God, for he had informed me of this. And I also knew that I had to be careful as to how I was going to bring him up. I knew that I had to be wise with him and show him the ways of the world, but also the ways of God, and help him to understand that there is more to life than just day-to-day routine, that the life with God is probably the most important part of life. God was quite clear about his instructions to me, and he was clear in a way that told me that I needed to be careful not only of how I brought him up, but I also had to teach him how to be at one with God, and that God was the most important person in everybody's world, everybody's life, whether you are in heaven or here on the earth plane. I knew that the only person that could teach my son in the ways of God had to be Mother Mary. She was wise and she instilled so much happiness and joy into all of her children. And I knew that my son would benefit greatly from her teachings. Alongside these teachings, I would also teach him the ways of God. And in time, we started to see that he was somebody to be revered for his knowledge about life. He was a great ambassador for the spirit world, for he always taught that to be at one and be at harmony with God is to be the best you can possibly be. I was also told before he was born that he would be the precursor to the Messiah, the great Jesus Christ. This is something that I felt was a great responsibility on my shoulders, for I knew that he was somebody that I had to look after in such a way without hurting him, without tarnishing his mind, but also keep him on course for what needed to be spoken about in the world. As time went on, he was able to connect to God himself, and God spoke to him many times. He told him that he needed to be the parishioner, the person that took the words of God and spoke them to many people. He needed to create a following and create wisdom amongst many people. He was told that as time went on, he would also assist Jesus Christ in his work. He would help him follow on from what he had taught to many people. And so you see, it is a sequence of events where I had to be the guide for my son, John the Baptist. And he was the precursor to Jesus. And Mother Mary helped him in all that he was able to do. But my life didn't go without tears and sorrow. It wasn't an easy life that I had. Whilst I knew that I had to prepare my son wisely, I also had great difficulty in my life. There was illness and disease that struck our family greatly and caused me great harm and devastation to our animals as well. I knew that I had to keep persistent and keep strong with all the work that needed to be done. And so I asked Mother Mary sometimes to look after my son and help me raise him in the way that he needed to be raised. And so she readily agreed, she always agreed that she would assist me with the upbringing of John the Baptist. By the time he became an adult, he was very proficient in the understanding and the ways of God. He knew that he had this role to play, and he was prepared. By all means, he was prepared. One day, he came home and spoke to myself and his mother, Elizabeth. And he told us that he had been spoken to by God. God had given him the words that he was ready. He was ready to assign people to God and give them the hope and the glory that God is always with them, to show them the path of Christianity, to show them that they have an understanding and a respect that needs to be given to God. It was these words that were spoken to him, that was the beginning of his years where he baptized many people. God also showed him the water that needed to be sparingly given to each person. And each person needed to be dressed with the flowing water of love from our Father, our God. As time went by, my son baptized many people. He gave many people hope. He gave many people understanding that life is eternal, that life has a future for all of us. And he also helped people to believe in the future coming of Jesus Christ. It wasn't long after he had been the witness and the bearer of God's news and the duty that he had to do in order to prepare the way for Jesus. When Jesus Christ was also prepared and ready for the work that he needed to do. Jesus spoke to my son and myself and Elizabeth many times about his work and the work that he needed to do. And he told us that he would look after my son at all times, for he had a great regard and a great respect for my son. None of this could have been done without the guidance from myself and my wife and Mother Mary and also Jesus. All of us came to secure the help and the guidance that my son needed. Eventually, the followers of my son came to follow Jesus Christ, for he had been given more words from God, and God treated him like a son and gave him hope and glory for all the work that needed to be done. In time, his words were given to many people. Many miracles took place. The joy of witnessing him on this earth plane was a joy to all of us. For we gained also not only from my son's wisdom, but also from Jesus's wisdom. For the two of them were the greatest people that were given to our world at this time. They worked tirelessly together and apart, and they gave to each other where no other gave in the same way. My words to you today is to listen to the words of hope and glory, to know that there is always somebody that has to help another, that the joy of laughter and love is so important in family circles, that to be given the words of God is a truth that cannot be ignored, and that I ask you to follow your heart with the true words from God and give to others like my son gave to all of you, like Jesus gave to all of you. Remember, to have love in your heart is to have a joy, to have a wisdom, and to have eternity of goodness wrapped around you like the light that is always present with us in our world in heaven. Thank you for listening.